is up, guys? Zertus Gaming here, back with another AFK journey video. So today I'm going to add some more info, details, tips and tricks with regards to countering the meta. So I already did a video of this last time and it garnered more views than usual, and so perhaps more people are more interested in that. So as you know, in that previous video, these are the units that I use to counter the meta. For the last unit, so I just recently added Shakir into the team, although I have been using him for quite a while now. But for being a quote unquote free to play um, team, you can switch out Shakir with Smokey. But then I just realized Smokey is probably equally as rare as Shakir because you can't buy these units in the arena shop, right? These four units, you have Odie, Antandra, Coco, and Hewin. Basically, you can buy these through the Dream Realm shop, or for Hewin, you can buy two copies of her every single month from the arena shop. Now, so the only two units that you're not able to buy is Shakir and Smokey. So maybe you can replace these two with Rowan. But then in my testing, in my attempt to climb the ranks in Arena, I would say that Shakir is has an important role, basically, especially when you are fighting against Scarlita. Let me just first discuss why these units synergize well in countering the meta. All right. So the first unit here is OD, and yes, you all know what's special about OD is his ability to insta kill a unit once it reaches a certain health threshold. And that's quite important because in the upper ranks of arena, most units are very tanky to the point that you can't just rely on burst damage because more or less you are going to encounter two healers, and that's Ewan and Damien. Now the good thing about OD's skill is that even if a one hero or one unit is has full HP, but once that threshold increases at a certain point in time, once a unit gets poisoned, it will die at some point. Okay, so that's why OD is quite important. Now that's OD's role. He is just there to do his poison and deal damage, right? So OD, amongst all of your units in the team, he is the softest or the easiest to kill. And that's why you need a lot of support heroes for OD to cast his ultimates to most of the units in the enemy units in the battlefield. Antandra. Why I like Antandra is she is a very tanky unit with a lot of utility, actually. So if you look at her skills, her ultimate is that first is, it taunts enemies, so it forces the units to attack her. And by doing that, because my Antandra is already Supreme Plus, she actually also increases her physical defense up to 6 stacks of 10%. So that's 60%. So that makes Antandra one of the last units to be killed, if ever. Okay? So it is hard to kill Antandra without OD on the enemy team, basically, right? And then, you know, she actually also recovers her own HP. It recovers by 20% of her HP when she does the shield assault. And the cooldown of this one is only 1.25 seconds. So, you know, she's able to cast this quite a lot. So the second one is her shield formation. So if you position OD to be slightly at the front line or the front foremost unit, Antandra would be able to give a shield to OD so that OD would be somewhat tankier. So there are, depending on the enemy team's formation, you'd be able to manipulate that OD becomes that guarded ally, so that Antandra would be able to give a shield to OD. Okay, I'll show you some of gameplay with regards to what I'm talking about. And then this one, is her like offensive skill. But what's good about this one as well is enemy units that are hit by this skill actually reduces their attack by 20%, so it debuffs them, which is good for, again, for Scarlita teams, because you'd be able to debuff Scarlita, and then Scarlita's damage would actually go down. All right. And then, of course, I believe one of the best hero focus skills, increasing her HP by 29% during battle. And then you have this skill when she gets to Mythic Plus is very, very useful for OD. Again, I have watched several times that Antandra jumps to OD, shielding OD for, for 4 seconds. Oh no, sorry, it's about actually 10 seconds. But then she also gives energy to OD, 100 energy for 4 seconds, so that OD would be able to cast his ultimate faster. And why that's important is that most of the battles, especially when you're fighting control units with a Thoran and a Damien, is that OD most of the time will target the chariot and target Thoran. So you can't do anything about it. Sometimes, OD would be able to target Aaron first, depending on the positioning. But most of the time, OD is able to pick the chariot and Thoran first, which makes um, the whole gameplay, or the whole play, quite difficult, because obviously Thoran revives thrice, and then the chariot just be resummoned. So the longer the battle takes, the more dangerous it is for your team, because of RNG, crits and all. I have seen, so consistently though, I'm like winning like 60-70% of the time. But there are times that if the battle takes long enough, Scarlita could wipe out your team. So that's why it's important to give OD the opportunity to cast ultimates faster, and this is one of them. This is one of those skills, right? In terms of EX weapon investment, you can just leave her at EX weapon plus 5. So you just need 150 tidal essences, which is easier to get compared to the temporal essences. All right, so now let's go to the next unit, which is Coco. And as you know, Coco gives damage reduction and shields at Mythic Plus. However, she does more than that, actually. So first off is that her ultimate does not only give damage reduction buff, but also life drain. So that's essentially like life steal, and 10% attack power to all of the buffed units. Second one, her fulfilling feast, so heals the weakest ally. Most of the time, it is actually OD. So OD not only gets a heal from Coco, but also is granted another 10% attack power for 5 seconds. Right? So not many people actually notice that, or know that. Now for her third skill, Pato Smash, I try to position Coco in a way that she is at the middle of the battlefield. And why that's important is that when she does this skill, she actually stuns enemy units around her for 3 seconds. And that is another form of control, another you're just extending or reducing the damage coming from the enemy. So that's again a very important synergistic skill for the whole team. And then obviously the hero focus, you have her haste increased by 12. Now In terms of positioning, which I'm going to show later, I put Coco or Hewin, depending on the enemy team, um, at the what do you call it, the rearmost hero, so that so it's either Hewin or Coco that would be immune from control, because what's important um in the meta right now, and the what's happening is that these two units, either Hewin or Coco, must be able to cast their ultimates so that you can immediately reduce the damage that you're absorbing from the enemy team. Okay, so that's why the haste is quite important here. And for her mythic plus weapon, again, this doesn't need any introduction. After she has casted her ultimate, then she's able to create that shield. Now, what's important here is the damage buff reduction lasts for how many seconds? 12 seconds. And after that, she is able to then cast a shield for 7 seconds. So while your ultimate is cooling down, or you're still trying to gain energy, another um, damage mitigating skill, which is the shield, would then be applied to your whole team. That's why Coco is very important. Now, if you have the temporal essences, it's actually quite good for Coco to have an EX weapon plus 10. But in terms of priority, you might not have, you know, the resources, because the temporal essences are quite limited. So that's why I just kept her actually earlier at plus 5 EX weapon, but then I upgraded her to plus 8. Okay? And the reason why I did that, if you look at her EX weapon, at EX weapon plus 8, her haste would be upgraded to 10. So there are no more enhancements to haste after that level. And haste is very important because, again, I want her to cast her ultimate earlier, right? So that's why I put her EX plus 8. And it's not that, because I believe you only need like 35 temporal essences more at EX weapon plus 8, because if you take her to EX weapon plus 10, then you need 45 more temporal essences, right? But I think I'm going to make her EX plus 10 at some point in time. I just don't have the temporal essences for that right now. So, and the reason why I want her to be at EX weapon plus 10 is that her skill would be upgraded. So when she casts her ultimate, the control effects would essentially be debuffed or dispelled, similar to what Yuwen is doing. Now, this is important if you are fighting against control team, obviously. And on top of that, you would also be gaining 20 resilience. So what is resilience? Essentially, resilience reduces the duration of the control effects on your units. So for example, the duration is like, let's say it's 10 seconds. If you have 20 resilience, the duration of the control skill would be reduced to 8. So that's a 20% reduction. So that's why it's good for Coco to be at EX weapon plus 10. So now let's go to Coco's partner in crime, and that's no other than Hewin. So Hewin and Coco have almost the same roles because they provide damage reduction and some sort of heal. But Hewin here is your hard healer, meaning that that's her primary purpose, to make all of your units almost at full HP at all times. And that is very important against Scarlita teams. And because, as you know, if a certain unit is under a certain threshold of HP, Scarlita could just eliminate that unit out of the map immediately. Even Thoran would not be able to revive, right? So that's why you need to have constant heals coming from Hewin, and that's why the Coco and Yuen combo is very important for this to work. I mean, everything here is synergistic. That's why everything needs to work. All right. Um, so basically, you all know the skills of Yuen. Her ultimate is one of the best healing skills in the game. A very chunky heal at that. She also gives some sort of emergency heal, quote unquote, once a certain unit goes below a 50% HP threshold. Hewin is immediately able to cast heal on that unit and then gives that unit a buff, a haste buff as well, especially at Supreme Plus. All right. And you have Revitalize, you have your Hero Focus, we all know that. And her ultimate, once she does it with her Mythic Plus weapon, she's also be able to give the whole team a damage reduction for how many seconds? I forgot. About 12, I believe. 9 seconds, sorry. It's 9 seconds of damage reduction. I put Hewin here at EX weapon plus 10. Now my Hewin specifically is at EX weapon plus 11 because at one time I was so absent-minded I mistakenly enhanced her weapon, which was not my intention, and I don't believe because of that I was winning. So I just had a terrible mistake. I wasted like 35 temporal essences on Hewin and made her weapon to EX plus 11, which is practically almost useless. So I just put her at EX weapon plus 10, and that would be already sufficient, because from that time on, when she's at EX weapon plus 10, when she does the rain prayer, she would also grant buffs from Revitalize. And so what are these buffs? One is it dispels debuffs, and there's also extra healing once every 6 seconds, as well as, I believe this is what's happening, it Hewin would also give haste once she is able to use her ultimate. Okay, so that's Hewin. And now we go to our last unit, our flex unit here, which I've been recently using quite a lot, is Shakir. And I have explained to you several times why Shakir is quite important unit. One of the more important ones is actually his damage reduction aura once he casts his ultimate, right? And that damage reduction aura, which I forgot to highlight, also provides haste of 25. So now, as you can see, if you take all of these together, you have very good healing coming from Coco, coming from Hewin. You have damage reduction coming from Shakir's aura, haste and energy regeneration coming from Shakir as well. You also get haste coming from Hewin. You also have some sort of tanking ability and support ability coming from Antandra. So you now have this very synergistic team which would be able to withstand long enough the damage coming from control teams, coming from Scarlita teams. Now, I highlighted why Shakir is important because Scarlita, when she attacks, when she descends, I have my Scarlita here. It's not upgraded. Her So Scarlita, when she descends, she actually descends near the frontmost enemy. Okay? So most of the time, it is either Shakir or Antandra is the frontmost unit, your frontmost unit after the battle begins. Alright? But there are times that actually it's OD, and that's why it gets dangerous. I mean, I will share to you later on the positioning, but essentially it is important for Antandra or Shakir to be your frontmost units by the time Scarlita descends, because these units, once they have their buffs on, once Antandra has her shields on, practically they don't receive any damage from Scarlita, and so Scarlita can't just do her ultimates, and then if that Scarlita is on Mythic Plus, she can just eliminate the enemy right there and then if the HP of the enemy is below 25%. So the HP ratio, I mean. So that means that if she's able to target the more tankier units, she won't then be able to do this. And once she lands, she's quite vulnerable to OD's ultimate, right? So that is the most critical point when you fight against Scarlita, because if she is able to descend and your units are at a critical threshold, she can just do her combo and eliminate 2 or 3 units out of the map. Okay, so that's why Scarlita is a very dangerous unit. But once you have your synergies online, you would then be able to counter her quite well. All right. So if you don't have Shakir, you can probably use Smokey, or replace Shakir with Smokey. And I've been trying to experiment with Florabelle as well, because if you have seen my last video, Florabelle is an off tank. Of course, she does her summons. Even at the start of battle, she's already able to summon one more unit. And at the if the battle takes long enough, she was be able to summon three, and those 3 units would become your some sort of meat shields and semi tanks. So that's what I would replace Shakir with. All right, so now let's look at some gameplay here. Again, my win rate is about 60-70%. Of course, you don't expect to win every single time, especially that my units are on the low end. I know that for some F2P casual players, it would still take you months for your team to be at Supreme Plus, at EX Weapon plus 5 or 10 for some of my units. However, in relation to the enemy team that I'm attacking, my units are far more inferior than the units I'm trying to attack, or the teams that I'm trying to attack. So, for example, for Crystal and Muka, I'm still trying to find ways on how to attack their teams, especially that their Paragon levels are just too high. Their EX weapon investment are too high as well. So that's why I'm having difficulty. But I was able to try and attack Yodoms. The third ranker, I was able to attack him 4 times and was able to succeed 3 times out of that. And let's just look at his units. So you have Arden, Thorin, Scarlita, um, Damien, and then Iron. So as you can see, all of his EX weapons are at least plus 10 on the 4 units. Scarlita has plus 20 and Iron is at Paragon 1. Okay? So here is the formation. That's why I like this new update because I'm able to show you guys my formation here. So, I'll just explain here, okay? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, with this formation, OD would be your frontmost unit, and so Antandra would be able to buff OD. That's one. And second, why I have put Hewin and then Coco here is because most of the time the enemy team puts units here. It's either, I think they put here Aaron, Damien, Melee, or Thorin, or Aaron. So and then there's a wall here. Okay, so and this is a very common map in the high arena, high ranks in arena. So when the melee units attack, essentially these 2 units block off their way. Okay, and so I would be able to dictate the course of the battle, and most of the time the fighting occurs at this area. And so if their Aaron is also here, he is not able to pull in OD. So that's why OD is the lone unit on my far left. And OD will just be able to pick off unit 1 pick off units one by one. And normally they have a Thoran at the middle, and that's OD's target most of the time, but that is fine. So as long as the rest of the team, I mean all of my team would be able to survive the onslaught. All right. And then what happens later on is that Shakir and then Antandra moves to the front, attacking the back line, attacking the chariot here. And once Scarlita descends, Scarlita would then attack Antandra or Shakir. Okay, so let me show you guys what I'm trying to discuss here. Replay. I'm going to slow this a little bit. Right. So as you can see, Aaron is not able to suck in or pull in OD, and OD is now attacking Thoran. So that's what usually happens, and it's something that you cannot control. All right. So you'd have to just be patient enough that your units would be able to cast their ultimates and heal until such time that Scarlita descends. So as you can see, Scarlita has descended and it has attacked Shakir, or targeted Shakir, I mean. And as you can see, Shakir is taking almost no damage. So that's why his Scarlita is almost doing nothing. Right? So and I am able to slowly but surely kill off his units one by one. And as you can see here, Scarlita is attacking Antandra. Antandra is almost taking no damage. All right, but for some reason in this case, he was able to, I think, defeat Antandra. I don't know why that happened. I don't know if it's a bug or something, because for sure, at that time Antandra was actually at full health with a shield. So I'm not sure what happened there. But anyway, I was still able to beat this one. As you can see, I was able to wipe out the team one by one. Okay? So there you go. So that's essentially what would happen if you are encountering this kind of enemy team, right? I'm going to show you another one where they used your normal, quote unquote normal control team. I think I'm just going to show you. I attack Avalon? Okay, there you go. So this one first, Brand. Okay, so this is your traditional control team. Okay, let me just, so again, my formation. So my formation here. Oh wait. Yep, so not this team, because I actually used my control team against his control team. Let me show you this other guy, the recent one. Yep, so this one. So this is your typical control team, and the units, I would say that this would be easier to clear or to win against compared to someone with a Scarlita, because Scarlita, you have to have perfect conditions for her not to be able to completely wipe out your team. So in terms of formation, it's almost similar in formation, except that Coco and Ewan, I try to interchange depending on which unit is on this side. So if it were Thoran on this side, I put Ewan here to block off Thoran. The reason for that is Thoran is weak, or Graveborns are weak against Wilders. And so Ewan would be a better tank compared to Coco. And then obviously, if I use this artifact, my Ewan won't be controlled, and she would be able to cast her ultimate in a timely manner. So let me just play this one. Yep, so as you can see, even if his Aaron is actually at the middle, he is not able to pull in OD. And because of that, actually, because his Aaron is at the middle, that's the first target that OD attacked. And after that, it was Ewan. So I think he could have done better positioning here, I mean, obviously it's on defense, right? So he would not be able to foresee that that's the way I'm going to attack him. But essentially, because of his positioning, I was able to use that in my advantage. So I was able to eliminate Hewin and then Aaron. So practically, there's no more threat except for Arden, and Arden alone would not be able to kill my team. And here in this, I don't know if this is a bug, but Shakir just got stuck there, right? I thought Shakir would go around the wall and then attack Arden from this side, but he didn't. But anyway, still. And then here again, you have Antandra just standing there, waiting for some action to happen. Shakir as well. So I don't know why they got stuck there actually. So probably a bug. But anyway, I still won. So yeah, so I'm rank number 5, and sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. However, the next question for most people is that would you be able to use this team for your arena defense? And I would say no. And the reason for that is you'd be able to easily counter that team in arena, especially if you have the control units. Yeah, so that's why I don't encourage you to use that as a defense, unfortunately. Um, so my defense right now, it's your typical control defense. Practically the same as the players that I have attacked, but I protect my Arden because I would say that Arden, especially in the first few seconds of the game, is very important, because he's able to deal damage and um, do some crowd control. But that's for another video, perhaps. I am succeeding quite a bit, but obviously your defense is something that I would not prioritize because most of the time your defense would fail. I just win about 30-40% of my defense attempts because there are a lot of units that you could use, especially in the higher ranks. When you have Scarlitas, you have Dianels, you can easily um, plan out your attacks, especially if you have a lot of units in your disposal. But for casual F2P players, I would say the team that I have shown you guys is a good starting point. So don't be discouraged if you're encountering the meta team, because there is a way to counter them. It's just somewhat painful sometimes, but that's just the way it is. This game can be pay to win. So just stick with the units that are quite budget friendly if you don't have the resources to spend on it. All right, so thank you so much, guys. I hope you've learned something from today's video. And if you did, please do like, subscribe, and comment below. You all have a good one. Zertus Gaming out.